What's within you surrounds you, which is the law of attraction that we've talked about here before. So what I create inside of me is going to attract what's around me. If you have love to give to your friends about like, you guys are just so awesome and I'm so grateful for you, like that is a round of applause for yourself. That is a round of applause for yourself. That is what you've attracted. That speaks to who you are. If you have a lot of shit to say about your friends and how poor they are and how poorly they speak of you and how poorly they act and how you're embarrassed by them, look in a mirror because that speaks to you too. And that's a harsh truth to accept. For those who are deep enough to get it,
but profound enough to not care.
You're listening to Consciously Unconscious. I haven't seen it in a really long time, but you know what I did see? I went to the movie theater and saw Wicked by myself at AMC Theaters.
I feel betrayed.
What? Well, we never talked about it. You never asked me to go.
You never even brought it up to me.
Well,
I would have said absolutely.
Okay. I'm really sorry. I can go again and pretend like I never saw it because it was phantasmo.
Was it?
Oh my God. Phenomenal. It was definitely long. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes.
I love a long musical.
Oh my gosh. I went to Whole Foods before, obviously, to pack a bag to stash. And I brought shrimp spring rolls into the movie.
I thought you were going to say I brought Smart Sweets.
I did bring Smart Sweets. I brought Denver Chip Company.
Cute. What flavor?
Sweet and spicy, obviously.
Okay.
And then I brought an Olipop.
What flavor?
Mountain Rush. I thought it was a new flavor.
What did you think?
It was all right.
It wasn't like that great, right?
It was like a little bit flat, honestly.
Yeah.
But then I knew that I needed to be next to absolutely nobody to unpack the shrimp spring rolls. And
was the movie theater packed?
It was pretty full.
You know, I have an irrational fear of movie theaters. So I actually probably wouldn't have gone with you.
It's not irrational. There have been some things that have happened to make it rational.
Particularly
Colorado.
in Colorado.
Yeah, factual. I mean, that thought did cross my mind. But I felt pretty safe. I had my exit plan.
You need an exit
plan. The
plan.
seats, though, I could have slept overnight in that place.
What were they like? Were they recliners?
Recliners, but then also like when you get to the end of the reclination, it starts to sink.
Where are you?
AMC.
In the theater. Where's your seating arrangement? Are you going for middle? Are you going for aisle? Back?
I'm in like the front half, which was unfortunate. No, but hear me out.
By choice?
By choice, because I didn't want to be near anybody. I couldn't risk being paired next to somebody, you know?
Oh, but then you had the recliner, so your neck wasn't arched. Your neck wasn't like breaking.
Of course.
Trying to look at the screen. You were laid back.
God, it's just so, I mean, now that I can take it in from a very like trauma-centered sociological lens, I totally am so here for the movie. I mean, I grew up on Wicked. I grew up on Broadway.
Yeah, she was actually a child actress. She was
on Broadway.
Broadway.
No, it's so fantastic. And if you haven't seen it, go.
I haven't seen it.
I'll go again.
I haven't seen the play in a long time, but whenever we would go to New York growing up, we would always go see a Broadway show, and most of the time we would go see Wicked. And so I haven't seen it in a really long time. I honestly couldn't even recount it for you.
I'm not even a big Ariana Grande fan.
I'm not a good Ariana Grande fan.
I'm not a what do they call her fans?
A stan.
What do they call her fans?
Arinator? I don't think that's right.
Grandismos. I don't know. I've never really actually liked her a ton. I don't dislike her, but I've never listened to her stuff. And she was absolutely incredible in the role of Galinda the Good Witch.
Everyone is geeking out about her and her co-host, or not her co-host.
Oh
but
yeah,
her,
and how
what is the word?
Ozempic'd out they are.
No, how crazy they are together. Their charisma, they're all over each other. Is that a symptom of Ozempic?
Probably. But I can't even imagine putting in the work that they did for this and spending 12 to 20 hours a day, every day on set, having to just really become the role that you're in. I mean,
I would love to do that, honestly.
Same. I was a theater kid growing up. Did you know that?
I did know this, but I didn't think you were a theater kid for a while, were you?
I was a Shakespeare kid.
Go.
Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summers by the suns and all the bosoms I carried. I can't remember it, but I was Macbeth for a summer. I was really into it, and then I got to high school, and then it like wasn't the cool thing to do. And now I'm like, I want to be friends with all of the theater kids, all of the art kids. Those are the kids that I would resonate with now.
Because they're all smart, they're intellectuals, but they're also creative. They have imagination. They're growth seekers. Like,
yes,
they're funny.
They're interesting.
They're so interesting. But that's so true. All of the kids in high school that are theater kids, you're like, you're fucking cool, but you're also so fucking weird. Like, you're
for
bizarre.
Sure. But I only now have the appreciation to understand that
they're like a fine wine.
Sure, totally. There's definitely a fine line, but they also didn't give a fuck what people thought about them.
I said fine wine.
Oh. I was like, there is a fine line for sure.
You thought I said fine wine.
I thought you said there's a fine line. Like,
no, I said they're like a fine wine. They age, they get better over time.
They do.
These theater kids.
Yeah.
These theater kids. I actually was in acting camp
Thespians.
when I was younger, but I was never in theater in school. Do you know, actually, fun fact, do you know who my acting coach was growing up?
Why would I know?
Maybe you have telepathy. I thought you were clairvoyant.
I am.
Okay, I'm going to give you a hint, actually, because I think you could guess. Okay?
Bob Ross.
No, come on. Come on. There was a girl who was on Disney Channel. Particularly, I can't say that word today. Particularly in space.
In space?
It was a movie. Come on.
Did I see it?
You've definitely saw it. And if you didn't see it, you actually know the cultural significance of it.
Jog my memory with one more clue.
She's blonde.
Oh my gosh.
You know it.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Zem.
Raven Simone. No. She like does identify as a Zem now. Xenon.
Yes. Kirsten Storms. Her mom.
I didn't even know that name existed.
Her mom was my acting coach growing up. She had like an acting camp.
Wow.
Yeah, and they lived in Winter Park, Florida. Well, that's where her studio was, and so we would go and I would act.
Did you meet her?
I did not meet her, no. But her mom was great. I think one time got traumatized because we were doing improv, and I'm better. I mean, I'm good at being off the cuff, but when it comes to like acting in improv, like playing a character in improv.
Improv is the best.
No, it makes me so uncomfortable.
Released. That's why, I mean, you just have to feel the rain on your skin.
Yeah, you really do.
You are a control freak, so I can see why you wouldn't be good at that.
But if you give me a script, like I can do it. But I cannot riff in a character because I think it has to do with the fact that like I'm not good at lying. Like I'm not good at being anything other than myself.
It's not lying. You don't have to lie.
But it's like acting is kind of lying.
It's not lying. You're playing a role. You're playing a character.
Yeah, but I feel like I just can't play anything other than myself.
Okay, she's so authentic.
No, but I actually remember being traumatized one summer because there was a time where we would do film. So we would be filmed with our improv, and I was playing this really miserable character who just like hated life and whatever. I was like 8 and I was improvising, and I think I like made a joke about like hating dogs or like wanting dogs to die or something, and it was just so not the vibe, like poor timing, not good. And it happened to be the film that we were showcasing to the parents, because at the end of the day the parents would come and like watch what
and
we
they
did.
put you in therapy after.
Should have been. And I remember that when my face came on the screen, I said, yo, I gotta take a leak. I gotta go to the bathroom. I can't watch this.
Well, you didn't want to watch yourself?
Fuck no. I knew it was bad. I knew it was bad.
Except this isn't really translating because you post 16 TikToks a day.
Because I'm myself. I have no problem getting on the camera and being myself, but anytime I have to play, that's why I'm so scared about this murder mystery thing you're putting together.
Why?
'Cause I don't know if I can play a role.
Oh.
You know?
You're going to be great.
You think?
Lean in.
All right, I'm going to lean in.
I'm putting together a murder mystery for Amanda's birthday. Are you pregnant?
No. Okay, thank you for reminding me, because
Thank you for reminding you.
last episode, we did chat about me being...
I'm having a sip.
maybe you need it?
I need it.
Okay. Well, no, I'm not pregnant. I got my period and we were just talking about it. I'm on day 5 and I'm like already bleeding, or not already bleeding. I'm bleeding so much still. But yes, I got my period, so I'm not pregnant. Not sure what the nausea was all about, but it's since passed. Except for when I eat eggs. I can't eat eggs these days.
Another symptom.
What is that called? Egg
Dysplasia.
Let's just get our beverage of the week out of the way because you've already opened it.
Yeah, I'm sick. If you couldn't tell, I'm sick. And I needed a little drink. So I had to go ahead of the way, away of the head. Ahead of you. Tell us about it because you brought it. It's really good.
Should we sing first though?
Yeah. Wait, listen to this. Oh. Can you hear the sleigh bells ring?
I was going to sing something that kind of was on brand for corpse, but also Christmas. Christmas time is everywhere. Oh. What do we have? A corpse survivor. What is this? Now you will see. It's the drink of the week.
Did you plan this?
This is Corpse Survivor. This is Corpse Survivor.
Amanda walks in this room and has the audacity to say that she wasn't a theater kid, doesn't like playing roles, doesn't like watching herself on TV. And then is like, I actually prepared a little number.
But see, preparation. Preparation is king. Thank you.
Is king.
Yep. Queen.
Preparation is king.
It's Macbeth. Macbeth said that. Anyway, it's a Corpse Survivor.
Oh, brethren.
And the reason I picked this for today is because my best friend Anna actually owns this company.
You have another best friend besides me?
Unfortunately. Oh. And it's a hydration libation electrolyte blend. And
yeah, fuck you, Alex Cooper.
We can't say that. We want to be on her network one day. Sorry, Daddy.
Sorry, Papa. Sorry, Papa. Actually, I love your network. Actually, this is second to your drink.
No, this is actually probably better than Unwell. Sorry, Father, but it is electrolytes, 10 calories, 0 added sugar. It has like 3 grams of sugar, vegan, female found it, but basically it has L-theanine, magnesium, zinc, potassium, sodium. It's a corpse reviver. She also
gluten-free.
Gluten-free. She also has a company called Hooch Booch, which is a hard kombucha company. So she kind of made this with the intention of like, let's revive your corpse after a night out, when you're hungover, if you're sick, if you're needing some more hydration after a Pilates class, all of the things. So let me just...
Yeah, I have prickly pear, which is absolutely divinity. I love prickly pear.
Do you? Mm-hmm. And then I have guava rose, which I think guava rose is probably my first favorite, and then prickly pear.
Can I try? Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sick.
I'm sick. Whatever. You can't give me anything more than my kids already give me.
You can't give me anything worse than norovirus.
I did want to mention that Anna was sweet enough, because this is an episode on friendships. That's why we picked this one. But Anna was sweet enough to give us a little discount code for you guys.
Our first sponsor?
Our first little sponsor. So you can use code CONSCIOUS15 for 15% off of Corpse Survivor. I'll link in the show notes, but...
Amanda didn't even tell me that we got our first sponsor.
I wanted it to be a surprise.
Oh, that's so exciting. I really am showing up with not a lot of brain cells, so I hope this revives me. I've been sleeping like absolute butthole. And
yeah, what's new with you?
Well, I think I got sick because, did I tell you the gas station story? Okay, I'm looking to sue. I'm looking to get a very large settlement soon.
What's up with you and cars?
I don't know, but something's in the air. Something's in the ether about it. I went to the gas station the other day. I'm scooting around trying to get to yoga on time. I got 16 stops to make beforehand. And of course, one of those stops is getting gas. I actually hate getting gas.
Same.
I hate it. I will run my car until it says 0.
I actually think it's a man's job.
Yeah, I mean... There it is. There it is. Tabled for now. I like there are some people that will not let their car like get less than a quarter of a tank or less than half a tank. Like you have OCD or something. You have a problem. Couldn't be me. So I will run my car until it says 0, until I can like feel it like puttering out on the road. So I'm basically puttering into this gas station. I pull up right as I'm pulling up to the tank that I want, or to the pump that I want. Of course, another girl swoops in and takes it. So I'm like, all right. So I pull around her and then back into the one that I want. And I scan my credit card. I'm doing everything at an extremely intense pace.
Yeah. Cadence was cadencing.
Yeah. And I take the pump. I click the button. I put the pump in my car. And at this point, 2 or 3 drops of something has dripped on my head. And I'm like, a little gloomy out today. Maybe it's raining.
On your head?
Yep, on my head. Haven't put 2 and 2 together. And then I squeeze the pump. Gasoline starts spewing from the pump. The tank, the tube, not connected. It's spewing onto my arm. It's spewing onto the ground. I mean, granted, it takes me 3 to 4 seconds to be like, what? Excuse me, what the fuck is going on? I unclasp the handle. The girl next to me, she's like, it's not connected. I'm like, thank you. She's like, you might want to go tell someone. I'm like, no, I was going to pull away. Meanwhile, I'm doused in gasoline. If I get near an open flame, kaput. Kaput. So I go inside, Middle Eastern man. I'm like, pump is absolutely exploded everywhere. You might want to come fix this. Also, please reimburse me the $5. He goes, it's still broken? I'm like, still broken?
Where's the out of order sign?
You didn't have a sign on it? You knew it was broken. So now I'm doused in gasoline. My car is still empty. The girl's still filling up her car. So I just decide I'm going to go to yoga on an empty tank, doused in gasoline.
No.
I make it, but I basically knock everyone out in the room. Anyways, I'm thinking about how do I sue?
Actually, today we're going to play with some candles in Palo Santo. And
I'm like, actually perfect. So anyways, I think that it's been seeping into my bloodstream and that's why I'm sick. Do you think?
Yeah, that could make sense. Math is mathing for me. It's toxins, right?
Probably. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely toxins. So
But don't they put like gasoline in like energy drinks?
I think like Four Locos got recalled.
Wait, what is it? There's something in gasoline that they also put in energy drinks. What is it? It's something.
I don't know, but I know they were putting like windshield wiper fluid in drinks and stuff too.
Okay, so are you suing?
Oh, well, I have to figure out how. Who do I submit that to?
What gas station was it?
I'm not going to give out more information that tells the people online where I live and where I spend my time, Amanda.
No, but like a Chevron, like a Chevron, a come and go.
I believe it was, I don't know, actually.
Right. We don't also want to get sued for defamation and then you can't sue, you know?
I would get sued?
Well, if we're out here talking mad smack about something, we could get sued for defamation.
Wow.
But we also have evidence of that actually being truthful, so we wouldn't get sued.
Yeah, he's probably deleted the camera footage by now.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So how do I prove myself?
So I got to start vlogging.
I haven't washed the sweatshirt yet, so it's still doused in gasoline.
That's good. Send it in.
Yeah, right?
With the Unabomber note.
Bag it up. Yeah, and say, this will be lit on fire and thrown at your store. Okay, your turn. What's up?
Well, we've been doing Chippy the Elf. Have you been seeing any of my videos?
Oh yeah, top of my feed every day.
Have you? Did you ever do Elf on the Shelf growing up?
Amanda, I was too caught up with Santa.
Oh, true. You had an attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I never did Elf on the Shelf growing up, but I was all over my For You page on TikTok last Christmas, and I was like, this Chippy the Elf shit?
Who's naming him Chippy? I thought his name was Elf.
Well, we named him Chippy because there is a Elf Story Netflix movie out, and the kids saw it, loved it, and now they wanted to name their elf Chippy because the elf in the story is Chippy.
That's cute.
Did you see that new Lindsay Lohan movie?
Yeah, it's divine.
Did you watch it?
I want to know her surgeon.
Oh, I actually thought the opposite.
Really?
I did not think she looked good.
I mean,
I thought she looked
comparatively.
good, but I didn't think the plastic surgery looked good.
She's got a saggy neck. They forgot the neck. Her
Is that what
face
it
looks
is?
great. They forgot the
She's
neck.
also 38, so maybe she just looks 38.
True.
You know?
But it was cute.
I love how we're acting like 38's ancient.
It's not ancient. I wish I was 38. Just kidding. I don't want to wish time away, but
No.
oh,
Take it back.
I do take it back. Like I said before, it's the gasoline.
Yeah, it's the gas.
Don't
talking.
take anything I say today seriously.
But anyway, they watched Chippy the Elf, and so now we have a Chippy the Elf, and we've been having a lot of fun with it. But I will say, Chippy got violated.
Why?
He did, in fact, get...
Amanda, trigger warning. Too little too late. What happened?
So we had our friends over. Actually, give you a little hint. The gal and her boyfriend who owns this beverage. We had our friends over for dinner.
Anna and Griffin.
I didn't want to put it out there like that, put him on blast, but she did post the video. I have to show it to you. So we had our friends over for dinner on Thursday night, and
Chippy
the
got
kids,
groomed.
Chippy got more than groomed. So, Lucas is in his culinary bag cooking dinner for Anna, Griffin, and me, and the kids are running rampant. It's like 8 p.m. We got to put them down. So Lucas is in the kitchen just getting everything ready, trying to plate everything so that once the kids are down, we can sit down for dinner. I go and put the kids down. I'm reading them books. Anna and Griffin are just left to roam in our house. And of course, we told them about Chippy. The kids told them about Chippy. They were so excited about Chippy, the kids. And so Anna and Griffin knew where Chippy was. And
How did they know?
because Chippy's right there. He's sitting right there watching all. And so I'm putting the kids down. Lucas is in the kitchen. And I come back out from putting the kids down. And Anna goes, got something to show you. I know. All right. She pulls out her phone, and I'm going to play it for Jessa, and then I'll insert the video on this screen for all of you guys to hear. But she pulls out her phone, and this is what she shows me.
Oh my God. Oh my God. They're eating Chippy's ass. Wait, that's so bad.
And they're Eiffel Towering him.
What's an Eiffel Tower?
Like, I actually don't know what the anatomy of it is, like anatomically what happens. But I know that you like two people like Eiffel Tower.
This is insane. Chippy the Elf was part of that?
Yeah, so Chippy got violated
Non-consensually.
very non-consensually. Don't worry, I had to talk with him.
It's just he needs to speak to someone, a professional in the field.
You know what? And so if you're unfamiliar with what Chippy the Elf is basically Chippy will fly in the middle of the night and be in a new location every single morning.
The kids.
So the kids basically wake up every morning like, where's Chippy? What the fuck did Chippy get into the other night? But I leave him with a note. I go to ChatGPT and I say, write me a note that rhymes. So maybe I should put him in therapy. And then the kids wake up and he's like in a therapy session.
I mean, he definitely needs it. He needs
Yeah, I think
someone
he
to
does.
talk to.
I think he does.
I discovered a black tooth in my mouth. I'm not going to show you on
What
camera.
do you
It's
mean
a private.
a black tooth?
It's kind of black. I think it's a cavity.
Well, that would be the only possible answer.
Is that what happens when you get a cavity? It turns black?
Not entirely. There's
Well,
like a
it's
little
not
black
black.
spot. There's like a gray spot
I have a cavity.
or a root canal.
Huh?
Does it hurt?
Not at all.
Okay, so it's definitely a
Not
cavity.
a single bit.
Have you gone to the dentist?
No. Yeah, I need to. No, I just discovered it the other day. I just was like, what's going on in there? And I opened my mouth in the mirror and then I saw it and I was like, oh, it's a little bit black.
Where is it?
It's a molar. It's way in the back there.
Yeah.
So I've decided that before I take any drastic measures to pay to get a cavity filled, I'm going to oil pull every single day. I'm going to tongue scrape. I'm going to get some really great toothpaste.
You know what you need? You need to get hydroxyapatite. That is the
What's that?
natural version of fluoride. It's what naturally occurs in our mouth to keep our
Right, because fluoride's calcifying our pineal gland.
yeah. Fluoride's doing something and it's in our water, so you don't need more. But I went to a holistic dentist, so that's what they told me to get on for cavities.
You're going to have to write that down for me.
Hydroxyapatite.
Hydroxyapatite.
Yep.
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 feel like I could throw up. I just feel sick.
Drink some more Corpse Reviver. You need your corpse to be revived.
Yeah, about friendships. Here's what I have to say.
As you make the noise for the Misophonics this week.
Yeah, that was, I was going to say that actually. We need to be better about not drinking in the mic. Where do we even want to start? Where am I? Who am I? What's going on? I'm nobody. I'm nowhere. I'm nothing. Nothingness. Everythingness all at once. Anyways, friendships, platonic relationships, just to clarify, because I had a few people ask me what platonic meant. Platonic relationships are relationships that do not include physical intimacy. Platonic relationships are like truly your besties, your homies. It's not romantic relationships. It's not familial relationships. It's like your homies, your friends. And I think as a society, we place a ton of focus on romantic relationships, right? Like the structure of value and the structure of jobs and monetization and commodification is all around romantic relationships. It's the marriage counselor, it's the sex counselor, it's the get the partner and get the house and get the job, it's the couples retreat, it's the
Relationship books.
It's everything. It's everything. And I think there's just not a lot of resources and information around platonic friendships, how to be a good friend, how to set boundaries in friendships, how to make friends as an adult, how to ask for what you need in friendships, how to, find friends that ebb and flow and change with who you are in your life, how to find friends that match up with the seasons of who you are. And I think that there's a huge conversation to be had here, because true friendship, bestie friendship is like the highest form of love. Mm-hmm. It truly is. And we all know that it's quality over quantity. And when you find friendships that really support you in an unconditional way, like these are the friendships and these are the relationships that give you life.
Mm-hmm. I almost feel like we take them for granted, or we don't really know the full weight of them until we are adults, because when you are a child, like you really just become friends with the people that you're around. Like your parents' friends have kids, and then you become friends with those kids, and then you get into middle school and you're friends with the people that you are at school with. You're friends with the people that you do like extracurricular activities with, the neighbor down the street. Like your friends are kind of just like given to you. They're like a product of proximity.
Sure, it's a structured environment to meet all these people.
Absolutely. And you don't necessarily have as much autonomy over them. And then I think when you get into middle school and high school, it's kind of when you start to like change. Maybe you're discovering a little bit more about yourself. Maybe you're yearning for that autonomy, and you're like, oh, like maybe the people who I grew up with actually don't resonate with me anymore. And then you get to college, and that's really the first time that I feel like, either all of your friends left for college, or people are entering the workforce, or someone stayed home. It's like you're kind of in a position where you almost have to find a new community. And I think that can be really hard for people. And that's probably the number one question that I hear people saying is like you said, how do you make friends as an adult? How do you create that new community?
It's really hard, because I think it's assumed that because it's been quote unquote so easy, and it's not easy for everyone their whole lives to make friends, but it's assumed that because we're put in these structured environments where there's access to all these other people that are the same age as us, that we should have friends, or that we are in an environment with other people that we must interact with, and therefore friend. A lot of those people are acquaintances. A lot of those people are just like friends by convenience purposes. And a lot of people just like really don't feel like they ever fit in with the people that are in their immediate environment. And I think, like you said, starting back in that timeline, you start being handed these environments, whether it's your parents' friends, whether it's your cousins, your family, whether it's kind of like kindergarten, primary, elementary school, when you don't really have a choice in what you're doing. You're just thrown into classroom environments. You're thrown into these situations where, like, yes, you get to choose who in the class you resonate with, but not really. You've got your friends, sure. Then you move into middle school and high school where like you get to start choosing, do I want to be in theater? Do I want to be in sports? Do I want to be in, leadership club? Do I want to be in X, Y, and Z? You get to start kind of playing around with where does my personality fall and where do I have this common ground with other people that I might resonate with? So then you do feel like you have a little bit more autonomy, but still the pool is quite small comparatively to when you get older and older. And you're still, for the most part, in your hometown. Maybe move around. Maybe your parents have moved you. Maybe, you had a situation where you're being forced to make new friends because your environment is consistently changing based on where you live. But for my personal example, like I grew up in the same spot my whole life. So like my pool kind of stayed the same. And then, yes, you go to college and then it's like, oh my gosh, like this pool is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now I am realizing that I have more and more autonomy to choose what type of person do I want to be around? And that can get really confusing, especially when you're trying to figure out who you are and what type of person you want to be.
Well, I also feel like there's a really significant moment, whether that happens in college or maybe you didn't go to college and it just happens kind of in your early 20s, where you either can fall into the same pattern of just being friends with who you are around or being selective about who you actually want to befriend. Because I think if you go to college, for example, because I did, my roommates became my friends because I was with them all the time. And then I met people in my hall and then we started drinking together. And then like my party friends became my friends. Did I actually necessarily have anything in common with them? Probably not, but we were all partying together. And then I feel like that's why you have people who, are still in their late 20s or 30s who are either still friends with people from high school or still friends with people from college, but don't really have much common, or they don't feel like there's not like a deep connection there.
I mean, I think we touched on this in the romantic relationship episode, is the true nature of your relationships comes from the true nature of your relationship to self. The quality of your relationships to others is dependent on how well you know yourself and how well you trust yourself and how well you are comfortable with your relationship to yourself and what you feel good about in terms of how you spend your time, how you talk to yourself, what you do, how you see the world. And that's what you're going to attract, right? Like my favorite quote ever, which was given to me from a school psychologist when I was in high school. I was nannying for her family. And she told me at one point, what's within you surrounds you. And that has literally since high school been my mantra. And it's interesting because it's really cyclical. Because what's within you surrounds you, which is the law of attraction that we've talked about here before. So what I create inside of me is going to attract what's around me, but also you can become a product of your environment. So what's around you can also really influence you. And that's why you see a lot of times like people, they were just in with the wrong crowd. They were just in with the wrong crowd. And so you have to be really conscious, yes, about what's in here, but also like look around you and where you're putting yourself too. So I think once you get into these situations, college and post-college, especially once you start putting yourself out into the workforce, you start moving into new cities, you start moving into new spaces where you really are putting yourself in scenarios where you're like, oh, wow, I'm completely recultivating a brand new group of friends, a brand new environment, a brand new persona. Like, I think your initial question to all of that was, or a question that you get asked a lot is, how do you make friends as an adult? And I think two things that came up in my mind were the initial thought of develop a relationship with yourself, which we can elaborate on later in this episode. But the other thing is non-judgment to other people and openness to other people, because I've realized too that a lot of the people that I'm friends with now, maybe at a different point in my life, I would not have connected with if I still had the same level of judgment or the same level of closed-mindedness or the same, I don't know if standards is the right word, but like the same picky choosiness of who I allowed as my friends. And it's really interesting what you can learn from so many different types of people when you're willing to accept all different types of friends and all different types of personalities and all different types of interests and all different types of, you know, sexualities and genders and ages. And like, I think the same way that we go and we look for romantic relationships in a very specific category, we look for friendships in a very specific category. And when we release the checklist of who we want to be our friends, you've completely opened up the floor for amazing opportunities to learn from people that you would have never thought. Like one of my best friends when I was traveling, and we'll get into my travel stories again later in this episode, but was a 63-year-old woman. I'm not joking. And I love her dearly. And I would have never thought, I would have never pictured it as such, that she would have been my bestie.
Yeah.
Hand in hand. We got matching tattoos together.
Which one?
I have a lotus on my foot. We got it in Sri Lanka.
Oh my God. That's so cute.
Her name is Dina. I love you, Dina, if you're listening.
Does she listen?
I don't know.
Send her the link.
I will.
No, I love that. And I think that was something that I had to come to the realization too when I was older, especially after having kids. And I think that's even a whole other can of worms, is like how to make friends now that you have kids. And then also what happens to your original friendships now that you've had kids. It kind of weeds some people out, but you have to be open to meeting new people and you have to put yourself out there. I think that's like the most cliche line ever, is like put yourself out there, but it really is true. If you can't meet people just like sitting at home or like even through the phone. I mean, Jessa and I met on Instagram, but like I think that the most beautiful relationships too happen by like knowing mutual friends, going to a dinner party and meeting people who are there. And, you know, I realized that too when I was going through some shit this past summer. I was like, I need to get out of the house so I can meet more people. I can network, I can connect with people. And then, oh my God, I just choked on my own saliva. But like getting out and changing my environment was what led me to kind of reconnect with Jessa, and now here we are. And so I think you have to be open to, like Jessa said, open your mind, but also be open to like going to new places and like starting conversations with people. But I want to go back a little bit because I think that it's interesting, the shift. I mean, we can sit here all day and talk about like our adult relationships, but I'm so fascinated by like childhood relationships and whether you were like a quality over quantity person, had like a few good friends, or if it was like you were like the popular chick, you had a bunch of girlfriends. Like, what were your relationships like, platonic relationships like in high school and, you know, maybe even college? And did you ever experience friendship breakups?
I was always the person who wanted so badly the quintessential group of girlies. I wanted the group chat. I wanted the besties. I wanted the sharing the closets. And I never really had that. I was always bopping around between all different groups of people, all different ages. I was friends with a lot of people older than me. And then I had a couple people in my grade that I was friends with. Like I had a lot of mix. I was the floater friend, which was really fun for me, but it also made me feel like I was always on the outskirts of everyone else's group.
Yeah.
And they very much welcomed me in. So it was like, okay, cool. Sometimes I feel like I have 6 different groups of friends and I'm part of them all. But then also I kind of feel like I'm not actually part of any of them because I am part of all of them. And while that made me feel really popular and really wanted, it also made me feel really isolated. And I had a really hard time identifying which group I liked to be with the most, which one I really resonated with the most. Was it my sports group? Was it my theater group? Was it my skater smoking weed group? Was it my, you know, like guy friends group? Like I had people across the map, and those are all just stereotypes and judgments on the surface of who these people could be looked at as. But I think over the years, as my personality kind of ebbed and flowed as who I was and who I wanted to present as and who I wanted to be, I totally went through a lot of loss in friendships. And I think that's where a lot of my abandonment wounds comes from. Opening up to like my anxious attachment style and my deep fear of abandonment. Specifically you know, there were a couple friendships that I can remember very clearly hit me where it hurt, that I had to lose over the years, that were like really painful to me. There was one specifically, a very, 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 very close friend of mine that just completely dissipated with no explanation. I think I've talked to you a little bit about this. I actually recently reconnected with her. So it's pretty charged right now, actually. And I feel okay talking about it, but I don't, out of respect for the scenario, don't want to go too far into it. But essentially, this was a friend that I had had since childhood. I mean, inseparable, best friends, every single moment together. And there was just a day, and you know, when I tell this story, I think there's always a lot of pushback of like, well, something must have happened. Something must have happened. There was a day where she literally just stopped answering my texts. And when I say we used to talk on the phone every single day, we used to text every single day, I mean, poof, gone.
Did you continue to text her and be like, where are you? What's going on?
I actually thought she like passed away. I thought she died. I thought something crazy happened. I reached out to her family, and then all of a sudden I saw like other people posting with her, and I saw her like continuing her life, just completely leaving me out of it. Whoa, and dude. I was so distraught, so confused, so heartbroken, and I could not figure out what I could have done.
You guys weren't living in the same place, were you?
I was in Boston. She was in a different place. And it was just so deeply confusing to me. And I had no idea. And she was just going on with her life, and it was looking like she was having fun, and she was going out and this and this. And, you know, I was trying to reach out to all these other people who were spending time with her and being like, what's going on with this person? Why isn't she answering me? Like, da da da. No one would give me a straight answer. It was really just so strange. And essentially, I ended up texting her months later, basically a closure text that was like, hey, I will always love you. I don't know what happened. I have to basically close the curtain here for my own mental health. Not but like a year and a half later, she reached out to me. And essentially...
randomly?
Yeah.
Texted?
A couple days before my birthday.
A couple years ago.
And was like, hey, so sorry I fell off the face of the earth. I was going through a lot mental health wise, and I knew you were one of the only people that would help me face that, and I really wasn't ready for it. And it was essentially this whole thing about how she was going through a lot of mental health things, and I'm sure she felt very shameful, very embarrassed, and I really would have held her to the standard of like, you need to get help, you need to stop drinking, you need to really face this and handle this. But at the same time,
you're not going to tell her what she wants to hear, and she didn't want to hear that.
Yeah, pretty much. I digress. We have since, so that happened. I accepted that. I was still very resentful and very hurt for years and years. It has taken me to heal that wound, because it was just like...
Sure. I mean, that would traumatize anybody.
And just a couple weeks ago, she showed up in Colorado and was like, hey, I'm here. Do you want to hang out?
Sorry, that's my husband walking.
Where?
Don't know where he's going, but he's going somewhere.
What? He's just walking by.
Hi.
Hey. Without drawing the story on for too long, we recently reconnected, and it felt very healing to have some open dialogue about everything that has happened after we have changed over the course of a handful of years and how we've healed in our own ways. But the point of that being, there is so much trauma that I have around that abandonment wound in terms of loss and grief and friendship. And that's probably the most grief I've ever felt in terms of like loss of a relationship, not a breakup, not like loss of a family member. I mean, like genuinely, that was so confusing for me. And I think that maybe that points to something that's really lacking in friendship is the ability to be really vulnerable in open conversation with people And I think that comes from people lacking the ability to be vulnerable and open with themselves.
Well, it's also just communication.
In general, I guess.
Communication in general, like having the respect for your friend to be like, hey, look, I am going through something. I need some space. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
There's a communication element that needs to be involved. And when I was thinking about the topic of friendship breakups, I thought there are two types of friendship breakups, the slow fade and then the like done cold turkey. But I never really considered that there could be a cold turkey situation without there being a sense of closure, without there being a fight that made it happen, without there being a conversation of, hey, this needs to end. Like nothing, vanishing.
I think that happens a lot to people.
Really?
Yeah, I think that happens a lot where like life circumstances just change, or there's not necessarily an argument or something that pulls people apart. Sometimes a friendship just stops. And I think that can be really, really difficult for people to understand and people to accept. I think that people stay friends with people out of habit versus actual feeling about how it makes them a better person. And truly my belief is that you should really only be friends with people if it makes you a better person. You should really only be friends with people if it's making you feel inspired, energized, and open.
Agreed.
If you leave a friendship and you feel exhausted, you feel bothered, you feel like you wasted time, you feel like, oh my God, I just spent so long talking about someone else and that wasn't even an interesting conversation. I feel like really analyze the way that you feel when you leave scenarios, because a lot of times we are just on such, we're on our hamster wheel, whether it's with our job, whether it's with our relationships. Like you show up to these hangouts with these people and you don't even realize that when you're leaving, you don't feel good. You don't feel good.
Totally.
Because for so long, I realized like if anyone knows me or had known me growing up, like I was very entertainer, Jess. I was the center of fucking attention.
Shocker.
I know, dude. I would walk into a room. I would make the jokes. I would just hold the space for everyone at the party, and that was so fun for me for a while. And then all of a sudden I realized every single time that I left, I was exhausted and I was like, okay, that was great. I just gave and I gave and I gave to everyone. But like, did anyone give anything back to me? Did anyone make me feel seen and heard? Did anyone make me feel energized? Did anyone make me feel appreciated? Or did I just go and make you laugh and make you feel good and make you feel heard and make you feel... And I just had this moment of like, wait, first of all, yes, maybe it has to do with who I'm selecting as friends, but it also has to do with how I'm showing up. Am I even giving these people a chance to be that type of friend to me?
Right. So did you go into that situation then too and just like stop maybe performing?
Yes and no. Like, yes, I think I ultimately decided that because my presence my whole life had always been so loud and abrasive, I was like, I think I want to try on being gentle and soft, and I want to be a listener, and I want people to come to me and talk, and I want to shut the fuck up for a minute. And I think that opened up a whole new line of friendships.
Right.
It completely dropped off people that like didn't want to be friends with me for that version of myself, and it also opened up and brought out of the woodworks like a lot of people that I'm like, I so appreciate you and you have so many amazing things to say, and I'm so sorry that I never gave you a chance. And like it just completely changed the dynamics of the friends that I already had, and then opened up a completely new opportunity for me to make new friends with this ability to be a completely receptive person.
And to be both though too.
And to be both.
Because I think that there is something to note about like being the entertainer, being the joke person, like being able to be that version of yourself without it feeling draining. Is the other person or other group of people that you're surrounding yourself, can they also juggle that? Can they be receptive to both parts of you?
Yeah.
I think that's so important. But I do think that is a helpful way to weed people out, but it speaks to introspection. It speaks to you being able to look at yourself and being very self-aware, where I feel like maybe some people haven't gotten there.
Yeah. And I'm curious, like how, because you really haven't, I know you just worked a job and then left, but outside of that, being a mom and being at home a lot, How outside of college have you made friends as an adult, and what has that felt like for you?
Well, I think that a lot of my friendships have actually formed through Instagram. Not gonna lie. Like my friend Anna, Corpse Survivor, she was on my podcast, and then we were like,
How'd you meet her?
Her marketing gal reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we're trying to get Anna on local podcasts.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Would you like to have her on?" And I was like, "For sure." And we just hit it off. And then we went to a coffee shop and like did not shut the fuck up.
That's so interesting.
Me and my other friend who I met here, same thing. Met over social media, grabbed coffee, sat for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Done. And also, I do think that getting out and working from coffee shops and then also meeting mutual friends from people that I've met has been really helpful.
Yeah, that's a great way.
That, I mean, even like working this job, knowing you, also then meeting coworkers, then even at Friendsgiving, getting to meet other people. It's like that. It's like all of these things, showing up to all of these things. I also think that I just, whatever industry that I'm in, I'm really making a priority to meet other people in that industry.
It's a muscle that you have to flex though. Like
Yeah.
the more you do it, the easier that it gets to put yourself out there.
Yes, but I also think there was a moment where I was like, I don't have a choice. I remember writing a blog post when I was 18 at SCAD called "Maybe Humans Are Not Social Beings,"
Oh, surface it. I'm interested.
because I was going through a lot of shit and I was in a long distance relationship with Lucas, and I felt like I could not be my full self with the people that I surrounded myself with because they were like my party friends. And so I felt like there was nobody where I was that I could fully drop in and be vulnerable and share the full expression of myself. I also, because of that, liked to spend time with myself more. And I also think when it comes to like friendships, I've always been very like the term of like hire slow, fire fast.
Hire slow, fire fast.
I feel like I've always been like that with friends.
Hire slow, fire fast.
Like, but maybe not the hire slow part, because I do feel like I make friends really fast. Like I'm a very much like all cards on the table. Here's who I am. Like take it or leave it. Like let's be friends. I'll tell you my deepest, darkest secrets right away. So maybe it's not hire slow, but it is fire fast. Like as soon as a friendship isn't working for me in the past, like I remember in high school, I had this group of girlfriends, and all of a sudden I started to feel super put down by them, shamed by them, always made to feel like embarrassed in front of other people. Like they were just not supportive. And for me, in friendships, you need to be honest, you need to be supportive, and you need to like be funny. And like I really value humor in friendships. Those are probably my 3 core values with friendships: humor, honesty, and supporting me. And they just weren't supportive. They were like making fun of me, blogging, all these things. And so I was like, cut, not gonna surround myself with these people.
Good.
Then my best friend of like years, I became really good friends with her in middle school, and we were friends until like 23 when I had Lennox. She was always pretty religious growing up, but not to like the extent that she became. And so we kind of just like fundamentally did not agree anymore. And there comes a time where like it caused us more harm than good to be communicating, because everything that I would share, she wouldn't agree with, or like she would try to get me to like convert to Catholicism. And I'm like, girl, not for me. And so because of that, I had no problem being like, done. Like, it's not working. It can't work. And I literally said to her, I was like, I don't think you like me anymore. And that's fine. And I don't know if I like you anymore. Like, we both don't like each other. Why are we doing this? And I think that that's what you have to do. You have to like fire fast. When it's not working, you have to fucking just, you know?
Yes and no, though. I will play devil's advocate for that, because I don't think that people realize that friendships deserve effort and energy to preserve.
Sure. But I think when you realize that these people are not going to support you, like
Sure.
long term,
Yes.
it's going to be more of a headache. And I'm not saying like one disagreement, done.
Totally.
I think that you have to work through conflict, but if every single time you're jumping on the phone with this person,
Well, yeah, they really truly don't have your best interest in mind.
Yeah, and you can feel that.
Yeah.
You can totally feel that from people. And I think when you notice that, you have to make the decision to not. And also, when you do that and you notice that your life is getting significantly better, then that's how you know, like, it wasn't a relationship that was serving you. But I think that's the other thing is, like, we have to be okay with growing apart from people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And growing apart from people is perfectly normal. I think that there is this idea of like a kindred spirit, a kindred soul, when like you really can feel that like resonance when you meet someone, that they just get it, that they just fit. But that doesn't mean that they need to fit forever. They fit for now. They fit for where you are in your life. Michel de Montaigne, who is a French philosopher,
I love that name.
said, because it is he, because it is I, basically means like it's the mirroring concept.
Yeah.
It's explaining the resonance between a kindred spirit. And he has like these published essays on friendship. Basically, he talks about like the impermanence of friendship as well. And while it can feel like so infinite, it can also feel so impermanent.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because also speaking to the person that I said just became super religious and we just did not like agree morally, ethically, whatever. When I was in Florida this past time, she now has kids. Like, I went and hung out with her and I caught up with her. And it's almost like we have this understanding that like we're not friends, but we will always have love for each other.
But that's what a true friendship is. Like, a true friendship understands its expiration date.
Yes.
Because that means that it knows that it can exist and expire without judgment.
And they want what's best for you.
Right. Like, that's unconditional love.
Yeah.
That it's like, even though we've grown apart from each other, I still love and respect you, even if it means that we're not friends with each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to mean that there's any resentment or any like, now we're not friends anymore, or
Unless that person fucked you over royally.
true, but like, still, can we carry a sense of love for that person? Can we
True.
carry a sense of respect for how that person served us?
Have you ever had a friend that you hold a grudge against still?
That is my biggest project right now, is like learning about releasing grudges, like letting go of the hot coal, because if you hold the grudge, you're the only one suffering. It doesn't fucking matter to the other person. Yeah, sure, I've still been wounded and hurt. I don't know if grudge is the right word, but I definitely have friends where I've kind of wanted to give the middle finger, or wanted to be like angry at them.
Yeah.
But I really feel like at this point in my life, 27 years old, I've gone through so many renditions of friendships that I feel truly, truly so grateful that I have cultivated a circle of friends near and far. Like, I really have a global circle of friends now that I resonate so deeply with. And I feel like the ones that I have selected at this point in my life are lifelong friends. Of all ages, of all races, of all ethnicities, of all genders, of all belief systems. I think there was a period in time too where I thought less of someone who didn't think the way that I thought. I was like, oh, that person just wants to go out and drink, and they just, they're not wanting to talk about the cosmos, and they're not wanting to talk about existence and consciousness and astrology and whatever the fuck I want to talk about that's like deep. Right. And so I was like, I'm not going to accept anyone that's not on my level. And that was really limiting. That made me just as bad as someone else. That made me just as limited as I was describing them to be. And so now I really accept friends on all levels of the spectrum, because everyone can teach you something, and everyone can provide you with something and give you something and bring you to a different level on this consciousness spectrum. And so I have friends that like I go and I just have a drink with and I talk surface level shit with. And then I have friends who like I will drop the fuck in with all across the map. And
They're equally important.
There is no hierarchy of like one that's better than the other.
Yeah.
And I truly have never felt more loved in my life by the people that I have. Like, it's funny that I thought that I had best friends before, because now truly I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, I will pat myself on the back, and I will pat any of you on the back right now, where like, if you have compliments to give to your friends, if you have love to give to your friends about like, you guys are just so awesome and I'm so grateful for you, like, that is that is a round of applause for yourself.
That
That is a round of applause for yourself. That is what you've attracted. That speaks to who you are. And if you have a lot of shit to say about your friends and how poor they are and how poorly they speak of you and how poorly they act and how you're embarrassed by them, look in a mirror, because that speaks to you too. And that's a harsh truth to accept. But the only thing that you are in control of is yourself. The only thing that you are in control of is the way that you show up every single day. You are not in control of your friends. You are not in control of what they do, how they act, how they talk, what they go about their life. So figure it out. Like, fix yourself, heal yourself. That is our literal only goal on this planet, is to be the best versions of ourselves so that we can attract that in our circles, so that we can build community. That's why, like, friendship is genuinely the quickest and fastest way to this collective uprising in society.
Yeah.
Because if you think about groups of people that stand together, band together to make a difference, to make change, it's groups of people who support each other, who love each other, who genuinely, like, friendship is inherently egalitarian. Egalitarian is like equality, equanimous. Equanimous? Is that the right word? Yeah. Like a friendship is basically, we exist on the same plane. It's equality. And because of that, that is literally how we create social change in the world. That's the ripple effect, is when you come together with these groups of people that really the basis of it is like friendship, platonic relationships. That's how we can change the world.
Yeah. I also feel like the more that I get older, the more I realize the importance of both the kiddie pool and the deep end, being able to talk surface level with people, being able to go out and get a drink or go to yoga class or go on a walk and just like shoot the shit, and then be able to really drop in and be having these larger conversations, being inspired by your friends, being able to talk about creative endeavors and really feel like your friend is like right there with you, wanting you to succeed, and it's mutual. Like, I think that there is such room for both of it. You know, before it was all about, for me, like, I think romantic relationships were super romanticized, and like I was so excited about my relationship with Lucas in high school and all these things, and I definitely lost a few friends over spending more time with a boy. And now that I have 2 kids, I'm married, I live with my partner, like I see him all the time. Now I really am genuinely being like, my friendships are equally as important as my marriage. Like, I could not have a beautiful communicative relationship with my husband if I do not have a beautiful relationship with my friends, where I can be communicative, I can vent, I can chat, I can feel supported, I can feel like they're giving me that girl time that I need that he cannot give me. I'm not resentful of him because I have other relationships outside of him. And I think it's super important. And I think that the older that you get, I mean, even like I think about Sex and the City, like that show I love it so much because it is so rooted on friendship. It's so important.
Yeah, you make a good point too. When we bring romantic relationships into the picture, which many people are pursuing simultaneously as platonic relationships, we put our platonic relationships on the back burner because there's so much emphasis on your romantic relationship succeeding. And oftentimes we believe that it can't succeed if we put too much attention on platonic relationships instead of your romantic. And I think that you need to remember that you can't get everything out of that one person. It's completely unfair to think that the one person, if we're talking about the lens of monogamy, you cannot expect one person to give you everything that you need.
Yeah.
And so platonic relationships are exactly what you need to weave into the tapestry of like a really healthy relationship outside of yourself, to your partner, to your friends, to your colleagues, to your family. And remember that in your familial ties, in your romantic ties, there are expectations. There are expectations that are biological, that are law-abiding when it comes to romantic, that are intimate, that are, exclusive. Like, I'm not saying those are bad per se. Those don't necessarily have a negative connotation, but there are expectations that come with familial and romantic relationships, whereas a platonic relationship is truly just built on the foundation of empathy and compassion. And I want to spend time with you because I love you. And we just need more of that. Like, we need more of that in our life.
I feel like it would be interesting for you to share about you traveling and meeting people through that, because again, like, I shared a little bit about how you can make friends in your 20s and your 30s, but I feel like you have an interesting perspective on it because you were really in a position where you were solo. You didn't know anybody. You had to make connections with people to, I don't know. I think there's a beautiful balance of like experiencing something on your own and then also experiencing it with somebody else and other people. So how did you find making friends when you were traveling?
Super interesting. I mean, the two different times I did it, the first time I did it was back in 2018 when I studied abroad in college and then stayed for a couple months afterwards in backpack Europe. And that was the first time that I had traveled by myself. And I was really staying in hostels most of the time. And basically, I mean, I would just sit at the hostel bar and just have a beer and hold my book and essentially wait until someone spoke to me. I would sit there all night. And yes, I would initiate conversation first, but like a hostel is really grounds for like everyone to speak to everyone.
Right.
That's why people are there, you know, is to meet people and to open the doors for conversation. And that environment is like the specific location to say, come speak to me.
Right.
Like, that would have been very different if I was staying at a hotel and sitting at a hotel bar, or staying at an Airbnb, or, you know, just sitting at a restaurant downtown. Like a hostel is literally, you have a sign on your head that says, please talk to me. I'm a solo traveler. And so I think the environment that you put yourself in is really telling, first of all. The second time around when I traveled, which is more recent, so I have more to speak on, which was this past fall, summer, whenever I was there, I don't even know. I was completely alone, but you never feel alone because you, like you said, you have no choice but to meet people. And I think when you travel, you are put in a position where there are no preconceived notions and no biases of who you are. So you can show up as whoever you want to be. No one knows you. No one expects anything out of you. So they don't know who Jess is. They don't know entertainer Jess. They don't know fun Jess. They don't know gentle Jess. They don't know yoga teacher Jess. They don't know me. So I think there's also no pressure. You feel no pressure to act a certain way, which inherently makes it easier for you to just show up and be whoever you want to be that day. So that just opens the door of like ease and gentleness to talk to new people because you don't have to be anyone. And so that's really cool that you can just show up as whoever you want to be any day. And also, like, you're faced with a lot of openness to ask so many questions because you don't know anything about anyone. You don't know anything about anything. You don't even know where you are, but 90% of the time where you are is also foreign to who you're talking to. And so not only do you have this foreign place to talk to someone about, but you have where they came from and their upbringing and their beliefs and their morals. Yet somehow there's this red thread of how it all aligns and how you have all these commonalities and why you're in the same place at the same time. So it's fascinating. And maybe I'm skipping the part of like how to do it.
Well, no, I mean, I think you're explaining, and it's exactly what you said when I was speaking, was you just have to flex that muscle, because I genuinely think that if anybody puts themselves in a situation where they have to talk to people,
you kind of just do it.
You just do it. And I think that's why it always confuses me when I see people on TikTok or something and being like, what do you even say on a first date? Like, what do you do on a first? I'm like, what do you mean? Ask them where they're from, where they came from. Do they have siblings? What are their parents like?
It's also just like everyone else is nervous. Like,
right.
Maybe not everyone else is nervous, but like it's the irony of everyone else being in a very uncomfortable and foreign situation that like, because everyone's uncomfortable, it's comfortable.
Yes.
It's comfortable that everyone else is feeling the same way that you're feeling.
Yep.
everyone is in this brand new uncharted territory. And so like that doesn't necessarily have to be at a hostel in the middle of Sri Lanka. That can be at a networking event. That can be at a yoga class. That can be like at a Friendsgiving that you go to. Like you can find other people that are in new scenarios too. You can find situations where you show up to and you can connect with other people that are there for the first time as well. Other people that don't know you. Like, again, when you're traveling, yes, you get this on steroids version of no one knows me and I can be whoever I want to be. But that's the same thing you get when you move to a new city, when you start a new job, when you really decide, like, I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm just going to put myself out there. And it's not going to be every single day. Like it also has to be working with your natural energy cycles. I mean, there were days where like I would not leave my room.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I can't today. I don't feel like it. Or I would leave my room, headphones on, don't speak to me. I don't want to meet anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
There were days that I would say no to plans.
Yeah.
Or completely be like, I'm good. I don't want to talk right now.
Yeah.
But there are also days where you're like feeling inspired and you're feeling like, okay, I can work with this like little burst of energy or creativity that I have to meet people. Or, you know, you get that intuitive feeling about when you resonate with someone or when someone makes you feel seen and heard and understood. And so, yeah, like Amanda was saying, kind of like I'm saying, like you don't know until you try. Mm-hmm. And there's something to be said about understanding that the more in tune and in touch with yourself you are, those are the same exact people that you are going to attract. Mm-hmm. So to attract, you must become.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you have moved to a new city, like that's always the question that I feel like I get from people. It's like, I just moved to Denver. How do I find friends? Or I just moved here. How do I find friends? And I think start with yourself. Start by making a list of the things that you like, the things that you don't like. So if you're like, I don't really like to drink a ton, maybe don't go to a bar. Maybe don't go to a wine club or a wine night or whatever. If you like books, go to a book club. If you like, yoga, go to a yoga class and spark conversation with people there. Like do things that you genuinely enjoy and you will attract those people in return, like Jessa said. So
did we get conscious confessions?
We do have conscious confessions. Thank you. I was going to forget that.
Mm-hmm. I'm freezing in here.
You're cold now?
I feel really sick.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get through these and then. Okay. So the first one says, my best friend ghosted me when I had my baby. 2 years later, they want to reconnect.
Wow. I resonate. First of all, I'm really sorry. That's really hard to just be ghosted. I wonder if it has something to do with any jealousy towards the child and towards the family. And maybe towards feeling like that person got put on the back burner or somehow is now chosen as a second. I think you should try to reconnect. If that person really means something special to you, I think that everyone deserves an opportunity to speak their truth about what was going on and why she ghosted you and why she maybe needed time to not speak with you. I think...
I kind of disagree.
Really?
Yeah, just because I think that if you're really a true friend, you put everything out on the fucking table and you tell the person, hey, I'm feeling really like...
I mean...
I
totally get it. On paper, ideally, that's what she should have done. She should have been like, hey.
Well, also, having a baby is the hardest thing that you're going to go through ever. And as like, if you choose to have kids, like that postpartum period is like, that's when you need your friends the most.
Totally. But you know what? It speaks more to you. It speaks more about you if you are the one giving her the opportunity to speak her truth.
Totally. And I think you don't need to go into it being like, okay, we're going to be friends again. We're going to rekindle things, but like definitely hear her out.
Yeah, you can be honest and you can say, hey, I was really fucking hurt by the fact that you dropped me when I needed you the most. I'm willing to hear you out. Does this mean I'm willing to let you back into my life just like that and you get to get away with no consequence? No, absolutely not. But because I've always loved you and I will always hold space for you because that speaks to who I am, yeah, I will hear you out. And I'm curious about what was going on for you personally. I mean, but also if you're ready to just kind of like make that cut ties, have a little cord cutting ceremony, then that's on you too, girl. I don't know. I just feel for you. And after having my reconnection with this gal previously, like it has helped me heal to reconnect and hear her side. It has helped me close and stitch up a lot of the wounds.
Yeah.
And I will never be besties with this girl again, but it has helped me have that final closure of hearing her side.
Yep. And I think as long as you go into it hearing her feelings, then also sharing yours, I think it would be really helpful for closure or for rekindling. But anyway, I struggle with boundaries sometimes. I learned I was people pleasing. Be yourself.
Oof. Dude, the people pleasing. Everyone be nibbling on the people pleasing sandwich. Yeah, it's really hard. This could be an entire episode.
It should be.
It should be.
Because we were going to talk about boundaries, but we didn't even get into it.
I almost want to table this, and I want to tell you to tune in to an entire episode surrounded on people pleasing and boundary settings.
Yeah, love. My boyfriend is very uncomfortable with me having male friends. Is that a super red flag?
No, it's not a super red flag. It is a red flag, but I understand it. I think that
I was gonna say I think it could either be a red flag or it could either be a green flag, if depending on what's there.
Yeah, we need more characters in these submission boxes to know more. It depends on what's there. It depends on your true relationship to these men. I think that there's a lot of loaded conversations around partners being friends with the opposite sex and what that feels like and what that looks like. I think a lot of relationships are built on a conversation of possession, which doesn't allow for those partners to have relationships with the opposite sex, which I think is red flag. Like, I think that's a problem, because I think everyone deserves to have friends, like I said earlier, all over the spectrum of gender and sexuality and age and everything, because that helps broaden your mind. That helps broaden your perspective. That could also help him understand you more.
100%.
But I think if boundaries are being crossed in terms of comfortability, in terms of, I don't know, sexual innuendos, in terms of history. Yes. I think that that's a loaded question, right? Because there does have to be a boundary to respect a romantic relationship. But I am all for partnerships, including friendships with opposite sexes.
Yes. The question I think you need to ask is the uncomfortability warranted? Is this really just him having a problem with the basis of you being friends with other men? That's a red flag. If it is more nuanced, if this is a friend that like you have history with, you've hooked up with.
He's mad at her having guy friends.
Yes.
Okay. What I would say to him is that she can learn things about him from her guy friends.
True. But I think the like context needs to be there. Like
100%.
Is this truly just your guy friends? Yeah, then he shouldn't be mad about that. He shouldn't be uncomfortable with that. But if it is something that's a little bit more layered, I think you need to respect where he's coming from and then see where you guys can both have a compromise. You know what I mean?
And see, like, is there a way that you can make him feel included?
Yeah.
Is there a way that you can develop a relationship between you or between him and your guy friends? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
I had to cut off a friend because she refused to stop obsessing over a guy she met one time. What?
Sounds like me.
See, I would have just been like, girlie, shut the fuck up about it. Like, I would have just told her to shut the fuck up.
I see a guy in the grocery store and I obsess over him.
Yeah, I saw your TikTok.
You better cut me off. You had to cut off a friend because she had obsessing over a guy. Okay, she must not have been that good of a friend.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you?
I haven't had stable friends since I was 15. I'm now 30. Help.
Oh. My heart. Like, everyone deserves good friends. I just think this question takes a lot of awareness. It takes a lot of self-awareness to evaluate the why. And I think in these conscious confessions, I think we shouldn't do them on Instagram because I just need more information.
Okay. Then we can maybe do like an ask.fm or something.
Yeah, I need like an email.
Oh, we should do an email. That's
need
good.
more information, because does she know why? Has she been moving left and right? Is she going through, like, why?
Right.
I understand how lonely that can feel. Mm-hmm. I want to encourage you that it has nothing to do with you being flawed. Mm-hmm. It just maybe means that you haven't put yourself in the right scenarios to find people that you resonate with yet.
Right. And not to play devil's advocate, but also, have you been 100% yourself in all the relationships that you've had? I think that's also worth asking yourself, because if you haven't based your relationships off of who you are and your fullest expression, maybe that's why they haven't lasted. So get really honest with yourself. But yeah, I agree. We need more context. We'll do an email next time. Okay, a couple more.
Okay.
I feel like I've grown apart from my longest childhood friend and struggle to find anything in common anymore.
Relate. I think that's life, and you should grow. You should be different than who you were in childhood. And that's totally okay, because you guys still have so much love in your hearts for each other, and you served a purpose for where you were at the time in your lives that you were there for each other. And there's nothing that needs to be lost love. Mm-hmm. You can still be friends from a distance. You can still support each other, but you don't need to be thick as thieves anymore.
No, and she probably feels it too. She probably knows it too.
Yeah, I mean, like, lives change, relationships ebb and flow, seasons change. You're going to find people that you just resonate with more and relate to more as your interests change, as your relationships change, as your career changes, as your age changes. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
I actually pride you in that. I hope that things have changed since you were a child.
Yeah. Love. Last one. Feeling spread thin / love meeting people, but is there a point when your cup is too full for new friends?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yes. And that's a boundary. That's like going to go in the people pleasing boundary setting episode, that like you can totally draw a line with when you have enough on your plate. Mm-hmm. Because then if you have too much on your plate, you start to mismanage. Mm-hmm. You start to disregard, you start to neglect what you have on there because you're overfilling. And there's always going to be, space for new relationships, but like cherish and nourish the ones that you really want to prioritize.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, the ones that you don't want to will kind of fall off, and it will make room for new space at the bottom.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily bottom, but like,
and I don't think that it needs to be this like you're cutting off from allowing new people into your life. Don't do that, because then you might miss opportunities with connections and networking and whatnot. But like, yeah, totally. And I think, again, that's a perfect thing to talk about in a boundary setting situation on like how to say no.
How to say no. And like, you don't always have to be seeking. Like,
right.
Just appreciate what you have. We're always on to the next thing. We're always looking for the next thing, looking for more friends, looking to add quality over quantity, first of all. And just like, yeah, just take a breath. Appreciate what you got. You don't always need to be adding to the pile. The cuppeth runneth over.
The cuppeth is filled.
My cuppeth runneth over.
Okay, well, thanks for listening, guys. Let us know. We're going to let you know, actually, when we have an email that we can put out for you guys on sending in those conscious confessions, because I feel like we definitely do need more context. You're going to go take a nap?
Dude, something's wrong with me.
Okay, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening. We love you. We'll catch you in the next one.
I love you so
Follow us and
much.
Leave us a rating and review. Love you.
Yeah, leave us a review, please.
Okay, bye.
Ciao, ciao. Goodbye.